guys and gals, non-binary pals, and a technical rainbow in between. This is Modular Media Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Chris Boingo Gaston, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner,
Simeon Scott. Folks, I am here. It's going to be a pretty crazily loaded show going on tonight because, holy crap, the internet finally decided that it's tired of Jim Cornette. CM Punk is back and giving all kinds of crazy shoot interviews. And the Elite might be splitting up? Question mark?
They just need a villain.
We're getting there. Things are happening. It's moving, it's shaking. It's Kevin Bacon's in there somewhere, I'm sure.
But first, let's talk about the racist known as Jim Cornette.
Ooh, okay. I was real interested to see how you do this, but all right, we're going hard.
I mean, come on, that's his name now. It's the racist known as Jim Cornette.
So for the five of you who are unaware, aka our entire audience, hello listeners. Jim Cornette.
Say his proper name.
The racist known as Jim Cornette.
There we go. We can probably shorten it now.
Legendary manager and commentator in the industry. Has been around for years and years, since way back in the territory days. Has been working on NWA Power. He has been the lead announcer on that show for pretty much its entire existence. That's not happening anymore because in the latest episode, he made a comment which I didn't know at the time, but I later learned he has been using for years to try to help get people over on commentary. That's something Dave Meltzer said in his stupidly long video about this whole thing. And is it okay if I say it? Are we cool if I say it?
Yeah, we're quoting. We're not saying it as direct. We're quoting him.
Okay, so it was during an opening match in the show between Nick Aldis and Trevor Murdoch. And I guess they were trying to do a thing where, like, oh, Trevor Murdoch's kind of a bigger, schlubbier guy. Why is he taking on the champion even though it's not for the title? We need to kind of give some explanation about. We need to talk about how much of a badass Trevor Murdoch is. So Joe Galli and Jim Cornette were kind of going back and forth, putting Trevor Murdoch over during the opening part of the match. And Jim Cornette said, and this may not be an exact quote, but he said something to the effect of, Trevor Murdoch is here, he's bad, he's the only man I've ever seen who can drive a motor scooter through Ethiopia with a bucket of fried chicken strapped to his back. And, okay, I want to be 100% honest on this podcast, so I will admit, the first time I heard this, I laughed. But not in a haha black people like fried chicken kind of way. I was laughing at Jim Cornette, because I interpreted the joke as, oh my god, Jim Cornette is such a dumb old boomer that he actually thinks all black people like fried chicken, to the point of where he thinks black people in other countries like fried chicken.
Yeah, it was not a good look. And, like, I can get it. It's been part of his gimmick for years where he says outlandish metaphors because Southern people do that all the time. Nervous as a whore in a church on Sunday, shit like that.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's NWA Power is a show that's on YouTube. It's very much in that sort of new media, highly looked at and criticized kind of culture. And, I hesitate to use the term cancel culture, but this is kind of an example of that, where, and it's actually it's an appropriate use of it, I would say, because pretty much as soon as the tweet went out, that of somebody going like, yeah, this is probably my last episode of Power, with a clip of him saying that, the president of the NWA said on Twitter, like, yeah, we're sorry, we didn't realize that was what it was. We acknowledge now that it's probably really offensive and it shouldn't have been left in. We're going to up our checking process to make sure something like this doesn't happen again. We hope that people will be able to forgive us for letting this happen. And they took the episode down, and the next day they re-uploaded it with that line edited out.
No, they re-uploaded it like a couple hours later.
Oh, okay. I was in bed pretty early that night, so I didn't know. But shortly thereafter, it was announced that Jim Cornette had resigned from the NWA. And you and I have two different theories on this. I'm personally going with they probably went up to him and said, you can either make an apology in the next episode we record, because Power is recorded like a month in advance or something like that, or you can resign. Those are your only choices. And he said, fuck that, I'm not apologizing. I don't think I was wrong for saying that, so I'm going to resign. And what did you say you thought happened?
What I think happened was that they went to him and said, all right, you're leaving, but you have two choices. You're going to either get fired and be disgraced, or we're going to let you quit and save a little bit of face.
And honestly, I could see it going either way. And here's the thing, because I've been thinking about how I was going to phrase this for the past 2 days, but there's no other way to say it other than this is the straw that broke the camel's back. Cornette has been saying stuff like this for years. You could say it's his whole gimmick, but honestly, I think at this point, it's not his gimmick. It's who he is. Jim Cornette is not a character. He is a person who happens to be in the wrestling industry.
He worked himself into a shoot.
And he did it a long fucking time ago. Because Jim Cornette is the guy on Twitter constantly going and railing against current innovative acts that people like you and me love, but are seen as like this horrible threat to the business. Like, he's the guy who said the Young Bucks are killing the business. And he'll go on and on about how like comedy wrestlers have no place in wrestling. They're stupid. They're like a stupid sideshow. To which, for those of you who don't know, Brian Zane of Wrestling with Regret went up when there was like this whole thread Cornette and his followers were doing about why Orange Cassidy sucks, and he came to Orange Cassidy's defense and was like, no, it's good. It's like comedy wrestling is just like the clown to wrestling circus. And Cornette was like, interesting take, Zane. Nice knowing you, and blocked him. And so Brian Zane did like this fucking great 8-minute video talking about how stupid it is that people can't accept that analogy, because the thing about wrestling is it is a literal sideshow attraction that has evolved into something else. So you need to be able to accept that there's going to be weird, silly shit in there sometimes.
Yep. It was hilarious because also, remember, in kayfabe, in the wrestling world of kayfabe, Brian Zane is Jim Cornette's son.
Yeah. It's gonna be an awkward Thanksgiving for them, suffice it to say. But, and this is all without even going into the fact that Cornette has made much worse inflammatory comments like this in the past. I mean, as you brought up to me last week, he's implied that Kenny Omega is a pedophile. He has explicitly called Justin Roberts a pedophile. He has called Sonny Kiss a transvestite. And that's just the beginning of the sheet. Like, back in the 70s, this guy would rattle off the N-word like nobody's business. And again, I'm going to be honest on this podcast. I'm of the opinion that words should just be words, and anybody should be allowed to say whatever they want if the situation is appropriate or if it works. But I also am able to acknowledge that that's a fantasy. And you can either live in fantasy or reality, folks. And the thing is, we kind of don't have any choice but to live in reality. We are living in a current reality where there are certain things you just cannot say if you are a certain kind of person.
See, here's the thing. Technically, you can say whatever you want, but you're not free from retaliation. Anybody else can say, yo, fuck you, for what you just said.
Mm-hmm. Like, pull back the curtain a little bit. Chris, you know, I've said the N-word a couple times off recording when I was drunk and trying to goof around.
Yeah, and you immediately recognize, nope, that was bad. And you try to be better, and you haven't done it for like months now. Like, it was very early on when we started this.
Yeah, because again, here's the thing about me having that stance of you should be able to say whatever the fuck. I think of it as you have to be able to gauge the company you're in and know that they're okay with it. And I, after a little while, kind of realized, like, yeah, you're not that kind of guy. Like, I fucking know in my head, Chris doesn't like the N-word. He doesn't like more extreme swears than fuck. He doesn't like talking about sex explicitly. So I don't talk about those things with you. That's just a courtesy I try to do when we're having conversations.
Yeah.
And I do that everywhere. Like, at work, the new job I'm at, where it's a much more glib and loose environment than I'm used to. So it's been fun testing those waters. But also, I know there's certain things I just should not try at work at all, like the N-word. And again, going on that work line, in preparation for this, I actually conducted a survey. I asked all 20 people who work at the location for this company I'm working for now, and I like showed them the clip, and I was like, "Do you think that's racist?" Out of 20 people, 12 said yes. 7 said no, and 1 said he could not decide. So yeah. it's and the thing is, like, and Dave Meltzer said this as well, it's not an explicitly inflammatory thing. It's not targeting anyone. It's a general statement that's meant to be positive, but it enforces a stereotype that's not okay.
And at this point in time, people should
into anymore.
At this point in time, people should know better.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's kind of indefensible, and it's like, I get where it's coming from, but also, like, I'm kind of okay with this happening. Even though it does reinforce a type of culture that I'm not a huge fan of, I'm okay with it happening in this instance because of all the other shit Cornette has said, and about and just like, I know this isn't going to do anything to him. This isn't going to make him change his ways or think seriously about life because he's an old fucking boomer. At that age, you just are who you are until you fucking die. And also, in the past, when he did the Justin Roberts thing, he got huge pushback on it. He went on his podcast the next week and doubled down. And after this happened, he tweeted out something to the effect of, "Good morning, everyone. Heard any good jokes lately? Well, tune into the podcast this week if you like hearing somebody talk about stupid people and how stupid they are." So, on the next episode of his podcast, which comes out tomorrow as of this recording, he's going to double down. Like, I don't even have to listen to that to know that's what's going to happen.
And it's just like, it's very much like, all of this can wrap up of just an industry has left him behind that he thought wouldn't leave him behind.
Mm-hmm. Which is hilarious because he comes from the era where the constant thing said over and over again was, if you see something you haven't seen before and it seems to work, learn from it.
Yeah. And shame he just hasn't learned that, hey, maybe working the least amount of possible, but getting huge pops like Orange Cassidy seems to be good for the wrestlers.
Maybe cosplaying is fun and it allows people to connect with talent on another level.
Maybe a guy can just be a little bit goofy and you don't have to call him a spaz and describe him as a Broadway performer.
Maybe short people do have a place in wrestling without it being a medical condition.
Marco Stunt's great. I just want to say that.
Marco Stunt is a good boy. I'd like to shake Marco Stunt's hand.
Yeah. And like, this was, like you said, this is the straw that broke the camel's back, but I cannot see him getting another job. I can see him getting like an interview for being a wrestling historian. That's the most I can ever see him doing anymore.
I could see him going somewhere else in like a year or two, because the thing about this is I've come to acknowledge that this is just a cycle. People, whether they deserve it or not, people get canceled. They hide for like 6 months to a year, and then they come out with their apology shit, and then they get to get back on their career, but it's like a weird redemption kind of a thing. That's just how it works now.
Yeah. Or they come out with information, or they come out with like, hey, by the way, fuck your cancel, and I shouldn't have been canceled. Shout out to Pro Jared.
Yeah, Pro Jared, good boy. So like, I don't see Cornette never getting a job again. I don't think he'll be back in the NWA anytime soon. I also don't think he'll be in AEW ever, just because of how focused they are on pushing diversity and how much shit he said about people who already work for them.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing I've always heard is like Cornette will always talk behind the scenes, going like, "Yeah, no, if I get into a program with the Young Bucks, we make so much money," and the Young Bucks just go like, "Yeah, but we don't want to make that money with you."
Mm-hmm. And fucking like, I could see him going back to the Indies. I could see maybe WWE hiring him as like a backstage producer, but I don't see him having like a major spotlight role again.
No.
I think he's mostly going to be confined to his podcast and his little cult of people who think that wrestling has gone to shit. And also, just to put a little cap on this, I've seen people talking about like, oh, who are they going to get to replace him? I mean, Joe Galli's already on the show, but Jim Cornette is just such a consummate talent, great talker, one of the best announcers in the business. How could they possibly find somebody of his caliber to replace him? Look on the indie scene for 5 minutes and you'll find somebody. Like, I can't name anybody off the top of my head, but the indie scene is so good right now, there's gotta be somebody. Just take a good hard look and you'll find whoever you need.
And in the meantime, while they're looking for him, just put like someone like Tim Storm on there.
Mm-hmm. And like,
because everybody who watches NWA Power loves him. He's an okay talker. It'd be great.
And also, I wouldn't be like, there's two options they can take. Either they can re-record all the commentary for the next couple episodes, because as I stated earlier, Power is recorded like a month in advance. Or they can leave him in and just double check him for racist shit. Or the third option, which is my personal favorite, leave him in, but like do bad 80s news editing, witness protection, blur out his face and make his voice all deep. That's what I want them to do.
Perfect.
I don't think they will do it, but I think it would be amazing if they did.
That would fit the aesthetic so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Or they could just have like one of those fake commercials and make it a news announcement that says Jim Cornette died in a fire.
Yes.
He died in a fire.
He was killed in a stampede of angry fans.
But other than that, I didn't really watch NWA Power, mainly because I saw that and I was just like, I don't feel like watching this week. I just don't want to deal with it.
I almost did that, but then I went and watched anyways. It was a pretty solid little episode this week. Nothing amazing. Question Mark got a huge fucking pop when he came out for his match. So he's getting over really well. And that ended in a cool little angle involving Colt Cabana, someone else whose name I can't remember, Ricky Starks, and the Question Mark. So it's interesting to see what's going to be happening with the national title picture soon-ish. And also, just before the episode came out, like I think that afternoon, NWA posted a video announcing they're going to have a new side series called The Circle Squared, which is essentially going to be people from the indies get to come to the studio and do a promo, putting themselves over, and then the fans vote on who gets a contract.
Yeah.
So it's
or
like
at least
Tough
who
Enough,
gets a match.
So it's like a new media version of Tough Enough.
And that definitely has leg.
Yeah. I'm definitely interested in it. I don't know if I'll actually like it, but I'll give it a shot when the first episode comes out.
Also, I did notice on the new episode, because I clicked it but I didn't watch it, that in their tags they do have AEW Dark. They know what they're doing. They're kind of latching on. They recognize that, hey, we're not necessarily part of this, but like we are going to ride this wave. We're cool with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe now that Jim Cornette's not a part of it, they might actually be really cool with them and like, hey, let's not be angry at each other and let's like work together a little bit.
Yeah, let's have the Bucks or Santana and Ortiz come on and do a match. That'd
be cool. Or like have just a Jurassic Express. Like that'd be fun.
Or fucking have Marty Bell challenge Riho for the title. That'd be cool.
There's cool things to do. I wouldn't want it to happen all the time, every time, but like it would be fun.
Yeah, like we keep saying, more smaller wrestling companies playing nice with each other.
Yeah,
that's something that needs to happen.
And a big wrestling company being nice to the little guy.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just sucking up everything and going like, I'm full. But we don't
We're
have any
going to
wrestlers.
start a new show just to kill another promotion. Why? Because they won't play ball.
Lovely. WWE is like Microsoft. The embrace, extend, extinguish.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of that?
I have heard of that. I would also say they're kind of like, and it's funny because they call themselves this. They're the Disney of wrestling.
Yeah. Like, here's the thing. If I had a kid and they wanted to watch wrestling, I put on WWE. I check before so we don't get any weird Rusev sex bullshit, but WWE would probably be the easier thing to put on for them. Yeah, AEW, I got to be a little bit more wary.
Yeah,
but you know that's what AEW's for me.
Here's the way I see it. WWE is the family-friendly wrestling content. AEW is the for the fans wrestling content. NWA is for the old Taku wrestling fans. And everything else is there for the people who just like watching everything.
New Japan is for the weebs.
Yeah.
But that was NWA. Why don't we go on to NXT because we don't have as many notes?
Yeah, I didn't really want to pace anything out specifically because this week's episode of NXT was just kind of a huge clusterfuck of, did you know Survivor Series is happening? Here's this main roster person. Here's this main roster person. Have you heard of this main roster person? Look, this main roster person was an NXT champion at one point, and now they're here doing their signature move.
At least it was fun.
It was fun, but it was all flash and no substance. And I think I wouldn't be too mad at this if it wasn't for the fact that this is the go-home show for War Games, and it comes off like it's a go-home show for Survivor Series.
Yeah, and they tried to pick it up with some like, who's Ciampa's fourth person going to be? Oh, Undisputed Era is running roughshod and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but then it's also super obvious that they don't actually, or they didn't say anything about what NXT's actual involvement in Survivor Series is going to be, because there's an NXT men's team and a women's team for the big team, this brand, team, that brand tag matches. We still don't know who's on it at all. Now, the general assumption going around is that it will be the winners of the War Games matches, but they haven't said that anywhere at all. That's just fans assuming. And
I mean, that makes sense.
There's supposedly going to be an NXT championship match on Survivor Series, and the contender for it will be decided in a freeway during War Games, but we only just found that out tonight through a passing mention.
But wait, hold on. Aren't all the champions defending their belts on, not defending, but going up against the other equivalent champions?
No, Adam Cole's not going to be in a champion versus champion match.
Okay, so at Survivor Series, we have Becky, Bayley, Shayna going up against each other. We have the Viking guys who Vince fucked up, New Day, and Undisputed Era. And then we also have Roddy Strong, frickin' Shinsuke Nakamura, I think is holding one of them, and AJ Styles?
Who knows? And then each of the main the main event title guys, they all have feuds going on right now, so they're having matches in those feuds. And so Adam Cole doesn't get a champion versus champion match, so they had to very sloppily set up one for him by saying the number one contender will be decided at War Games in a free-on-free match.
I mean, I don't think that match will be bad.
It's just, why are you just now bringing it up? Why was there no build for it?
Because Vince McMahon came up with it on Tuesday.
We know who the teams in the War Games matches are for the most part. We still don't know who Ciampa's fourth man is.
Part of me thinks this might be Seth Rollins.
It's possible, but the thing is, it's just still been very poor build. I think the women's match has been built decently.
Yeah.
The men's match feels pretty thrown together. And honestly,
I mean,
if
you kind of have to throw a team together against Undisputed Era.
Mm-hmm. But you could have done it so much better. And also, like, I have to think to remember what the other matches on the card. Like, Matt Riddle versus Finn Balor is happening, and I keep forgetting about that because they barely built it.
I hope, part of me really hopes, because Matt Riddle's been made to look really, really strong, Finn just comes out as Demon and squishes him.
That could be cool. That could be cool. Not ghoul. Cool. But my main point here is, like, I'm kind of in agreement with Brian Alvarez on this one. And I usually tend to be in agreement with him on stuff. But, like, this time I really am. This didn't come off like a good, solid episode of NXT or like an amazing go-home show. It felt like an episode specifically designed to beat AEW in the ratings.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I don't think it will.
And it did.
It did?
Yeah, just barely.
Oh, first week.
And the thing is, AEW won in every demographic except for 50 plus, but overall numbers NXT won. And the hard pill to swallow here is that over the course of this whole Survivor Series / NXT invasion angle, NXT has changed quite a bit. Like, I can't believe I'm agreeing with something Chris Jericho said to be kind of glib and promo shoot guy during a media scrum, but NXT has changed. It's not that cool one-off thing it used to be. It's kind of just it's a better than the other two, but it's another WWE show now.
Yeah.
And I, like, 4 months ago, I was a huge NXT fan. It was my favorite thing week to week. It was the highlight of my week. I can't say that anymore. Ever since Dynamite has started and they've been trying to compete with Dynamite, I have not cared for it as much. Like, it's not bad. It's just not up to par with what NXT used to be. And, like, I haven't even watched a full episode the last couple weeks because A, I haven't had time because of my new job, and B, I just didn't have the desire to. I was like, okay, what sounds interesting? Let's watch the clips of that and see if it was actually interesting. And it's kind of a crapshoot as to whether it was or not.
I don't know what it is. Like, I don't want to pin it on any one thing on how this. Part of me hopes it's just growing pains of NXT now being on live TV, now being 2 hours, and they're just trying to figure out their footing. I hope that's what it is. And after Survivor Series, NXT kind of gets back on its own good little track.
Fingers crossed, man.
And part of me also feels like Vince is putting some of his fingers in NXT, at least for right now, saying, like, these are the people I want to go down there and do shit. Figure out what you can do.
Mm-hmm. It feels like it doesn't feel like Vince is booking it. It feels like he's giving Hunter a list of bullet points and he's saying, okay, make something around this.
And, like, that could work, but, like, this is the first time they're doing it. And, like, it's kind of uprooting a lot of the storylines that NXT was building. Like, again, because of this whole invasion-y kind of stuff, they had a ton of time to deal with Riddle and Balor.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, like, the matches have still been pretty good. Just this week alone, Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley was really solid. Revival versus Undisputed Era was an instant flipping classic.
Oh, fantastic.
Matt Riddle versus Ricochet, even though it was only 3 minutes, was really fun. But the thing is, I'm not a match guy. I'm an overall story.
And imagine going back a couple months and saying, hey, by the way, AEW, the land of where every wrestler is known for their work rate, known for being flippy, known for doing all these strong style, hardcore kind of stuff. That's going to be the storyline show, and NXT, known for pretty good storylines, is going to be the work rate show. Mm-hmm. That's kind of weird.
It is weird, but, like, getting back to my point, I'm more of a story guy than I am a match guy. So, like, you can have amazing matches, but if there's not a good story, if you're not building to a pay-per-view really well, it's not going to hit as hard for me. And that's the problem with NXT right now. Like, you go back a few months, all the shit they were doing with Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole, was super into that. The whole Io Shirai turning heel thing was wonderful, even though it did feel kind of mucked with. And now it's like, I know what all is going on. I understand it. I think it's solid, but I'm not into it. I'm not thinking about it while I'm at work the next day going like, oh man, where's this going to go next? That was such a cool segment. I'm thinking that way about AEW consistently. Like,
there's less psychology in NXT.
Up until Full Gear, all I was thinking about was Cody versus Jericho. That was like my mind's comfort zone, was I would go back and just go over those segments again. Going back, it was up until Dynamite started, it was Gargano versus Ciampa. It was who attacked Aleister Black. It was Cole versus Gargano. There's nothing like that right now.
No. And it feels like it's a mix of like, all right, we're trying to find our footing, all that kind of stuff. People going up to the main roster, people coming back, and all the plans just kind of being thrown up in the air, and they're trying to refine their footing. And here's the thing, I'm trusting NXT to find their footing better than the main roster, because Vince McMahon will throw out whatever Monday morning and go, all right, we're rewriting it now. Well, NXT, it feels like, all right, we're just kind of go on autopilot for a good couple of weeks. We know about what we can do. Mm-hmm. And we're going to start building some storylines in the background. That's what it feels like. It feels like NXT's been on autopilot.
Yeah, that's a pretty good analogy. Because, I mean, like, and not to just be quoting Brian Alvarez here, but, like, he talked about, the thing is, NXT used to be famous for long-term booking. It used to feel like they had been planning shit for months and months and months before they actually did it. This entire Survivor Series build, because I can't even call it a War Games build except for a few things here and there, this Survivor Series build has really felt like it just came up and then they had to do something with it, and they did the best they could with what they were given. And they didn't know what they were going to be given week to week.
Like, they were building War Games really good, and then Vince McMahon just came to Triple H and go like, hey, by the way, we're doing NXT and Survivor Series. Oh, that's really cool. That's great. This would be great for the guys. All right, yeah, no, we're going to do an invasion angle. Oh, okay.
When's that happening? Tonight.
Oh, okay, great. We'll send Undisputed Era and Shayna Baszler. God damn it, Shawn Michaels. What are we going to do?
I could start taking off my clothes. Damn it, Shawn, that never works.
Do it a little bit, though. It makes me happy.
See, Jim Cornette, that's how you imply somebody is something they're not, and it's actually funny.
Because we're being over-exaggerated caricatures.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. But here's the thing. I don't want to say it's poo-poo on NXT. It went from like an A to a B.
It's not... Again, it's not bashing, it's lamenting. There is a difference.
It's critique. You're critiquing. You're going like, I'm not liking the direction this is going. I feel like, yeah, I'm saying, I agree with you to the most part. I'm a little bit more optimistic.
Yeah. And like, I acknowledge it could get better. I'm hoping it could get better. But at the moment, I'm going like, this just isn't what I want right now. This isn't what I'm used to, what I've come to expect from this brand. I'm not sitting here going, this sucks. WWE's the worst fucking company ever. AEW. Even though I know this podcast probably comes off that way to some people.
Oh, very much so. I mean, it doesn't help that NWA and NXT both have like 2 bullet points, and AEW has like 100.
Mm-hmm. Well, the difference is AEW is doing so much story stuff that actually grabs my attention.
Because also AEW can focus just on AEW. NXT has been having to focus on NXT, on Survivor Series, on the main roster, on War Games. Like, they're scattered shot and they're being ran thin.
Fuck, I'm surprised somebody didn't name drop the other WWE thing we have for this week, which is like, hey, CM Punk's back. I'm surprised Seth Rollins did not say like, haha, suck it, Punk. Look what I'm doing. Aren't I a badass? Come and fight me, you coward!
You thought you made the Shield, but we made the Shield because we're brothers. Except the one guy, he's not here anymore. I wonder why.
He's taking food off my table. John! John!
From what I heard, I didn't hear it in the recording, but apparently some people said that they heard chants of Seth's still not cool or something like that.
Oh no, he got booed when he did that fucking kick to Ciampa, and he was clearly supposed to get like a huge pop of like, hey, look, Seth Rollins is here. This is amazing. He used to be a champion.
Yeah, it's a shame. It definitely feels like Seth Rollins got put in a position and he cracked under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say it as in a bad light. It just feels like he didn't know how to properly respond, so he went on the attack, and it just didn't look good. I don't think Seth Rollins is a huge dick. I think if he is put in a position where he's under pressure and under stress, he can become a dick.
Yeah, he's main roster ACH.
Yeah, like
this clearly is not what happened from what we know. But it's kind of funny to think that, like, WWE has just been going down the list of who can we make the guy from The Shield. Okay, let's try Roman Reigns. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. Okay, it's clearly not fucking working. Let's try Seth. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. It's maybe not working. And Moxley saw it coming, and he got the fuck out of Dodge.
No, he's the guy in AEW. But real quick, you mentioned CM Punk. He did a couple of things on Backstage.
Yeah, he had his first actual episode because he just showed up in like the last minute and a half of that episode where he debuted, and everybody,
the Marvel end credit scene.
Yeah, and everybody talked about it for 2 minutes.
Yeah,
it was kind of hilarious how little people cared.
Yeah.
But he came back in this episode. He did like a full interview. He talked about the fact that how he came to the decision to come back. Obviously, if he's going to wrestle again, he gave his thoughts on the whole Seth Rollins Twitter thing, and he cut a promo on some comedian on Twitter. It's nothing too special. Like, the only real notable thing is in regards to will he come back to wrestling. He said, like, at this point, it's not a no, it's a I don't know kind of a thing. Like, it's possible, but bridges have to be built, and it could take a really long time to do that.
Yeah, and I can understand that for Punk. And I can understand that going to AEW. Like, here's the thing. I'm a little sad that he's not in AEW because that would have been really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, good on him for getting paid from Fox.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Vince McMahon is not a stupid businessman. He's just not a great booker, at least at this point in his life. So I think as a businessman, Vince probably knows that if he just sends Punk a blank check and says, fill in the amount if you appear in the Royal Rumble. You don't have to do anything big, just appear, and you can have however much you want. I think Punk would do that.
Yeah, and like Punk knows the shit he's stirring because like he made a fucking joke on a tweet and then tagged a bunch of people, and one of them was Tony Khan. And
then Tony Khan jumped in and said some shit, and then Randy Orton went in the LinkedIn article, and then Tony Khan was like, that's years old, and it's been disproven. You're a dumbass. You said the N-word a little while ago. Go away.
Oh, no. Here's what the best thing was happening was Tony Khan made a joke. And he was kind of like back and forth with CM Punk. I was like, no, everybody's having fun. And then Orton comes in with going like, hey, yeah, your dad's corrupt and like evil. And Tony Khan just went like, bitch, that article's years old. It was disproven. Why the fuck you bringing up my dad? He has nothing to do with AEW. And the only time you really talk about AEW is when you try to leverage us to get more money. And by the way, you said the N-word on a video game stream a while ago. And then Brandy just went like, responded with like a tweet or something. Going like, damn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hold on, I can't remember what exactly happened. I posted it on your sports entertainment part of your server. By the way, you can join his Discord server by supporting him on Patreon and getting a link.
Way!
Come on, I had to. It was good. it was a good time to plug. Here it is. I'm going through Tony Khan's tweet right this second. So, no one is safe sounds like a plane full of wrestlers in Saudi Arabia. That's the joke Tony Khan made at CM Punk. Randy Orton, what's with this whole thing about glass houses and stones? And then the article, Jaguars owners Shahid Khan being investigated for corruption. Tony Khan then responds, I thought you only tagged me in your post when you were grasping for Lethbridge. That article's over a year old, plus is about baseless claims made about my dad years ago. That's the best you can do? Nothing? Meanwhile, in the time since that was written, you have used the N-word on Twitch.
And then you posted a picture of Tony Khan dropping a pipe bomb. And then I posted a gif of fucking Biggie eating popcorn. Because that's some fucking tea.
Then Brandy Rose responded, that's the end of the fight. TKO. Charlotte Flair responded with an emoji going, please. Now, this isn't no one related to it, but someone responded with a picture saying, Charlotte, this does not concern you. Get out of here.
And I love how people on Squared Circle was like, so this is what Twitter would be like in the Attitude Era.
And then Brandy responded with a clown emoji. Basically saying, you're a clown.
Mm-hmm. It's wrestlers poking fun at each other through Twitter, except for the one Gen Xer who doesn't exactly understand that it's all fun and games.
Yeah, it's good. It's solid. It's really solid. Oh, man.
It's hashtag good shit.
Hashtag good shit TM. And this is a good tweet. What's lost on all of this is that Punk successfully did his job by starting a kerfuffle.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. Like, yeah, no.
He knows how to play the game. And that's another thing he said in his interview. Is like part of the reason he took the Fox job is because he's known for criticizing the business while he was in it. And so he was like, wait, a job where I do that and it's okay? Yes, please.
Yeah. No, like, I can't wait for the years where CM Punk is old and just being a commentator on things.
Oh my god.
Like, here's the thing. I can like trust that CM Punk won't turn into a Jim Cornette.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like him to be this generation's Jim Cornette.
Yeah. Could you imagine fucking, oh my god, commentary dream team for Raw. CM Punk and Dio Madden.
Oh, my boys.
Mm.
But while we're still on the subject of other than AEW, I guess we gotta watch a couple episodes of Impact because they're gonna be having a retro throwback special.
Yeah, you posted that. I didn't really get a good look at it. Give me details. Tell me about this.
Apparently, pretty much everybody in their roster is kind of making a secondary character, and it's going to be like, what if like old school wrestling kind of thing.
So, what if Impact during the territory days?
Kinda, yeah. But like everybody's kind of flipping around and doing different things. Like Joey Ryan is a mustache porno cop. Sami Callihan, who has had like very heated back and forth between him and Jim Cornette, is basically a Jim Cornette ripoff. Everybody's pretty much a new character except Tommy Dreamer, who is just Tommy Dreamer because he's old enough to have been from those days.
Great.
And I'm excited to see it. It looks interesting because when Impact gets weird, that seems to be the fun part, because when Impact got weird, that's when we got Broken Matt Hardy.
Yeah, I mean, Broken Matt Hardy is the thing Impact is kind of most known for at this point. Well, that and the Claire Lynch storyline, but we're not going to talk about that. Broken Matt Hardy is how most people know Impact these days. Hell, it's how I know Impact these days. It's the only Impact I've ever seen, so.
Yep. But overall, everything except AEW, pretty on the up and up.
Except for one very conspicuous racist old man.
Yeah, but he's gone now, so that's on the up and up.
Yeah.
He's gone, and we don't have to think about him until the next thing he says some dumb shit.
He's one of those boys. He's gonna say something stupid, and we're all gonna go, "Oh, Jim Cornette, fuck you."
I wonder how long it's gonna take for him to say something even more controversial just to get more attention.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he starts trying to make that his shtick.
Who knows?
He Hopefully. Could be dude, what if he becomes the InfoWars guy of wrestling?
You want to know what's hilarious about that?
What?
Jim Cornette is a very proud Democrat.
Oh my god.
Oh man,
that makes very little sense considering his views, but all right.
Yeah, it's weird. But anyway, AEW. You want to talk about AEW?
I would love to talk about AEW.
So apparently, we're not going to get a ton of pay-per-views from AEW. They want to keep it. They want to keep pay-per-views being special, but they want to give
it quarterly.
Yeah, but they want to give some Dynamite recordings and Dynamite things a little nice special spice. So in January, in the great city of Miami, we are getting Bash at the Beach.
Bash at the fucking beach, bro. It's coming back. It's coming back, and I fucking predicted it. I'm going to say it right now. Go back and listen to that episode of the podcast where we talked about Cody filing the trademark. I said this is all going to be in AEW at some point. And so, for those of you who do not know, earlier this year when AEW was still sort of in its formative stages, I can't remember if it was just before or just after Double or Nothing.
Just before.
It was reported that Cody had filed trademarks for Bash at the Beach, Prince of Wrestling, Battle Bowl, Bunkhouse Stampede, and one other that I can't remember off the top of my head.
It wasn't Starrcade. It wasn't Great American Bash.
No, I think it was the Great American Bash.
No. That's still the WWE thing. They do it for the troops.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It was Halloween Havoc.
Yes, that's right. He filed for Halloween Havoc. And he said at the time, like, I don't really have any plans for these. This is just me trying to get some of Dad's old cattle back. But everybody knew. We all knew this was him getting his ducks in a row for AEW stuff he wanted to do. Because as we've discussed before, Cody is a huge mark for WCW and stuff his dad worked on. He loves his dad's stuff. So it makes perfect sense to bring back Bash at the Beach because it was one of WCW's biggest things. Like, a lot of their most well-remembered moments happened there. It's where the NWO debuted. It was tied into that fucking Baywatch episode 1 year. It's where the Hulk Hogan shoot angle went down.
Yep. But I love how they're just using it as, like, this isn't a major big pay-per-view thing, but this is a special occasion because we're in this unique city at this unique time.
Mm-hmm. And it's clear they're making it Miami Vice themed with the logo. And also, this has been a theory that's been going around, and I'm kind of buying into it. You know, Jericho's got another cruise coming up.
Oh, yeah, no, they're recording an episode on the cruise.
Yeah. Oh, it was confirmed?
Oh, yeah, no, it's confirmed. They are pre-recording an episode of Dynamite on the cruise.
Okay. I was under the impression this was still just a theory, but, like, I want it to end. Like, I want them to. I know it's gonna be at an arena, but I want them to make the arena up to look like it's an actual beach, and then fucking have it ending with people going to board the ferry to get on Jericho's cruise, and then the next episode is all matches from the cruise.
Oh man, but like, I'm just excited for Bash at the Beach. It just makes me wonder, what other, like, special event Dynamite can they do?
Mm-hmm.
Because that also makes an individual episode of Dynamite feel a little bit more special for the people going.
Mm-hmm. And it's a nice sort of halfway between doing monthly pay-per-views. It's like, you build to a special episode of Dynamite, and then off of the back of that, you build to the next pay-per-view. So it doesn't have to be like a month or two of Dynamite spinning its wheels, and then pay-per-view's almost here, time to start building to that. And also, it should be mentioned, this hasn't been confirmed on any level, but it's highly likely that Cody is being taken to court over this. Did you hear about that?
No, what?
Apparently, was it last night or the night before? I can't remember. Some night this week, some night, like in the last couple nights. Cody tweeted late at night, looks like I'm going back to court, time to go suit shopping, with an image that was like a photoshopped logo of something that said, "Welcome to Pettyville." And then at no, it was Tuesday night he tweeted this. And then at Dynamite, after the show went off air, he came out and There was somebody the whole night holding up a "Suck It Vince" sign, and he pointed to that. So people are thinking, because WWE has all those old Bash at the Beach pay-per-views on the network, people are saying like, oh, WWE probably thinks they still own the trademark and they're taking Cody to court over.
Yeah, no, Cody owns the trademark.
Mm-hmm.
Because they weren't using it.
Yeah. That's the thing, is they bought all that WCW stuff, but they've used very little of it, and what they have used, they've used completely ineffectually. Like, Starrcade is a fucking house show series now. That used to be WCW's equivalent to WrestleMania.
Yeah. Also, Cody now owns the complete trademark of Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. He went out and just did the thing we've all really wanted him to do, and he got his dad's name back from those fucks. And I could not be happier about that. I don't expect them to make a big deal out of it on Dynamite, but it's one of those little victories in life where you go just like, yeah.
Like, I can definitely see them, like, a year or two from now going, like, the Dusty blank tag team. No, not the tag team. That's WWE. That's NXT. Dusty Rhodes, like, tournament of fucking polka dots, whatever.
Or better yet, start a Hall of Fame and have the first inductee be Dusty.
No. Tournament. The Dusty Rhodes American Dream Tournament. Yep. But, ultimately...
Oh, I just thought of something hilarious, fantasy booking wise. Cody wins that tournament, and that's how you get him back into the title picture, because you say the winner of the tournament gets a title shot, and he says, I didn't challenge for the title, I won a title shot.
I still love the meme of, like, Cody is no longer allowed for a title shot. Cody, picture of Stardust walking in.
Yes. That would be hilarious.
Because here's the thing, from what he says, he didn't hate Stardust at the beginning. Like, he had a lot of ideas he wanted to work with. It's just he just got tired of it and wanted to do something else, and they were like, no.
No, Stardust is... I will always say Stardust is great in concept, it's just they screwed the execution up.
Oh, very much so.
Because the build to him becoming Stardust was great. What they did with the character after he had become Stardust was kind of poop.
Yep. But... no, it's not poop. Being the Elite.
It's a pretty groovy little show.
Basically, the Elite's kind of dissolved temporarily.
The thing is, it still exists, but it's fractured. Because this week's episode opened with a backstage segment set after the Bucks' beat down in the previous episode of Dynamite.
From Proud and Powerful.
Yeah, they're icing up, and Kenny comes in. He's still all beat up and whatnot from his match with Moxley, and they're like, "Oh, dude, we gotta let this shit go. We can't keep on with these feuds. We're getting the crap kicked out of us. We gotta move on to something else." And Kenny's like, "No, I can still beat him. I can beat him at his own game. I know I can beat him at his own game. I'm gonna show everybody. Just wait. I'm gonna do it." And the Bucks are like, "Kenny, don't. Kenny, it's a bad idea." And he's like, "No, I'll show everyone. I'll show it." And he walks off. And then Adam Page walks in after his match with Pac that week on Dynamite, where I don't think we talked about it, but he lost.
Yep.
And he basically says, "I'm not quitting, but I need a break. We're still cool, but I can't deal with being known as the least successful member of the Elite right now."
Yeah. And, like, you have Cody dealing with his own shit right now.
Mm-hmm.
And in that episode of Being the Elite, in the comments, everybody was just going, like, it feels like the Elite need a villain.
Mm-hmm. It's very clear what we're doing right now is everybody's split up, everybody's dealing with their own shit. Eventually, it's all going to lead back to Jericho and the Inner Circle.
That, and, like, they just need Marty Scurll to come in and go, like, "Hi, guys! Oh, no!"
Yep.
And that's just the storyline. It's like, come on, let's do what we used to do. Come on, guys, we can do this. It's like, Marty, we've been through so much. Yeah, but we're the Elite.
And I can't remember, is it Impact or Ring of Honor?
He's in Ring of Honor right now.
Yeah, and the thing is, the reason he hasn't been in AEW so far, and I know very little about Marty Scurll, but I noticed The reason he hasn't been in AEW so far is because he had a different contract from the rest of them with Ring of Honor, and he is still under contract until I think spring of next year.
No. It's this month.
Oh yeah. Okay. So he's expected not to re-sign and to probably go to AEW very soon.
As far as we all know.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, with this happening, I would not be surprised if he's already in the booking group text, and they're like, okay, we need to start building to him showing up. Let's plant seeds in being the Elite.
Yeah. And they're bringing those seeds onto AEW proper, so it's not like it's out of the blue.
Mm-hmm. I think Double or Nothing 2 is the next pay-per-view.
Maybe I think it might be.
I don't expect them to because it's a ways away, but I think it would be cool if they held him back and had him debut there.
Oh, that'd be fun. There's a lot of things that can be done. And maybe even have them be like a surprise fucky up thing in the match beyond.
Mm-hmm.
Which every fan is just going to keep calling War Games!
It's War Games!
War Games! Oh, man. It's Regal saying War Game season. It's beautiful. Shame he hasn't been able to say it that much.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, which is part of why I'm so upset for NXT dropping the ball. This is my favorite fucking time of the year.
But we had some beautiful wholesomeness with Dustin Rhodes on commentary for AEW Dark.
Yeah, nothing particularly special about this episode of Dark. I mean, the Justin Roberts interview was kind of nice, but it was neat kind of paying more attention to Dustin's commentary on this, because it's very clear that this is his first time doing it and he's having a hard time figuring it out in kind of a old man who's eager to learn a new thing.
Oh yeah, but also I want to quickly mention this is the first part, but like the AEW's women's division is kicking it up a notch.
Mm-hmm.
This was a fantastic match.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who's all in it. It's
Riho and Britt Baker on one side, and then we had on the other Big Swole, and Chris something, KRIS. I can't remember her last name.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember this match now. Big Swole is great. I really want to see her get closer to the title picture. I think if given the opportunity to cut a promo or two, she could get over really well just because she has that general look of a badass about her. And she's got a pretty good ring acumen. And the whole back and forth thing they've had going with Britt and Riho since Dynamite started is really interesting. I don't know what exactly it's leading to, but I think it could make for a pretty good feud if they handle it.
Oh yeah, but I also just loved Dustin just being kind of like AEW's dad.
Yeah,
because he's just so proud of everyone there.
He's constantly going like, "Oh yeah, this guy's cool. I've never seen that before. What's that called? What did you just say, Excalibur? How's that different from this move? Oh, I've not heard. I don't really know too much about this guy. I know this guy. This guy's cool. I don't know much about this guy, but oh wow, he just did that. That's neat."
He was like an old puppy, just like getting a new ball, and it's just like it felt so wholesome, and I just really enjoyed it, and I love seeing Dustin in this light.
Yeah, most of us know Dustin as a character of himself or a completely out there character, so it was really nice to see Dustin as an actual human being. And I'm sure he's that way on social media, but I don't follow many wrestlers on social media. So for me, this was my first exposure to this kind of Dustin Rhodes. And again, I've said this a couple times about people this episode, but he seems like a really cool guy. He seems like I would enjoy sitting down and having a meal.
Yeah, and it's just really nice, especially because looking at his past and his history, he's been through some shit. He's been through some shit, and it's just nice to see him be happy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also hilarious for, like, imagine Chuck Taylor watching back Dark and realizing he's now in a feud with Dustin Rhodes.
He's got so many fucking angles right now, and he's not even, like, a proper member of the roster. He's a legend.
Yeah, but, like, I just also love that he's putting over young talent. That he's going, like, no, these guys are amazing and cool, and they're doing so much great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like what he did with Sonny Kiss.
Yeah. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like he's got the stuff with Cody. He's one of Cody's guys. He's He's in a tag team with Sonny Kiss, and he's now in a feud with Chuck Taylor. What more can this man do?
I hope that genuinely becomes a thing, because he was just ragging on Chuck the whole time. Like, Excalibur said his old indie name, Sexy Chucky T, and he was like, really? Sexy? This is great. And he just genuinely enjoyed Orange Cassidy too.
Almost makes me wish he could have worked at Ring of Honor in some way while Adam Cole was there, just because I'd like to see his reaction to the "what a fat ass" thing.
Here's the thing, that started in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla.
It did?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he just leaned on a table, and it was a gimmicked table, so it just broke underneath him, and everyone was like, yeah, he's a fat ass.
Yeah. I remember you telling me that. For some reason, it warped in my mind, and I thought it started in Ring of Honor. I know it was carried through to Ring of Honor, but I thought it started there.
Yeah, but I just can't wait to see who else they get on Dark.
Yeah, it's really interesting how they've got the rotating stable of commentators. You know what would be great? Tully Blanchard.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Get Tully to do commentary, and then have a match with Shawn Spears in it, and have him just put Shawn Spears over to high heaven.
Oh, that'd be great. But also, I just really enjoy that the Young Bucks were on this episode of Dark. They're a main event level talent, and they're going like, no, we want to put over Dark, and we want to make this seem important, so we're going to be on the pre-show.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel like egos are huge, and they're going like, no, I need to be in the main event, no, I need to be in the main. Like, they understand, no, we're on the show, we're helping.
It's the booking philosophy. Yeah, that analogy works. I had to think about it for a second, but it's the booking philosophy of WCW, where you decide what should be done with your character, but it's without the ego of WCW.
Because I think everybody's trying to keep everybody's ego in check. Because, like, I could definitely see, like, some people being pissed that, like, hey, we haven't had much of a shot. And, like Kip Sabian. Kip Sabian's pretty cool. I'm digging what he's been doing, but he hasn't had a ton of time to do it. But he's getting more time.
Yeah, they're slowly ramping him up.
And, like, any other time, like, back in WCW, you might see that a guy get pissed that, man, I haven't, like, what the fuck you doing, man? But here it's just like, no, everybody, like, okay, cool, we got it scheduled out, and we're working with it.
Yeah.
It's just nice. But Matt Jackson got pretty hurt and banged up in that episode of Dark.
He went through he got put through a circle, an inner circle, you could say.
Because Proud and Powerful beat them up during that episode of Dynamite after that match.
And threw Matt through the stage. Yep.
So, for the first time in 4 years, Nick Jackson is going to be having a singles match again.
Not is going to have, has had.
Yeah, I'm literally.
Yeah.
Time. But with Ray Phoenix, oh boy, this is a prime example of what I would like to call the psychology of flippy shit.
Yeah, just really brilliant idea and concept alone to put the two younger members of the two most over tag teams on the roster in a singles match. Like, it's consummate making lemons out of lemonade, because they could have just said, "Oh, Matt's hurt this week. I guess the Bucks won't have a match. Let's both of you rest up this week." But instead, they said, "No, we have an opportunity here. We could do something really cool. We could say a statistic that'll shock people, like Brian Zane, in that this guy hasn't had a singles match in 4 years." And it totally paid off.
Oh, yeah. And it was a great match. And, like, when I say psychology of flippy shit, it's like Ray Phoenix and Nick Jackson just know each other's movesets so well that they're able to counter a flippy shit with another flippy shit. And people can go like, "Oh, it looks choreographed." And it's like, no. They are fighting. It's just, they're fighting like anime. They're not fighting like two drunk dudes at a bar.
Yeah. And, excuse me. I watch Dynamite every week with my dad, and it was really fun because my dad's partially blind. So when matches speed up, he has a hard time keeping up with them. But I don't mind that, because in cases like this, it's super fun calling out the spots to him. Like, whenever Ray Phoenix would go on the ropes, I would have to be like, "He's doing this now, he's doing that." And my dad would be like, "What? Really? That's a thing you could do? That's awesome."
Yeah. It's great, and it's just like it really puts how well you can use these kind of high acrobatic moves in effective ways. It's a clinic. One of the best matches of the night, and another one of the best matches of the night. Again, the women's match.
Yeah, we had Hikaru Shida taking on Britt Baker in a singles competition. I would not have predicted I'd say this a few months ago. I think Hikaru Shida is my favorite woman on the roster.
Oh, I can definitely see that. She's
Asuka without the post-first WrestleMania bullshit. At least so far.
Oh, yeah.
She is this badass, big, older-looking Asian woman who is brutal in her matches, is not afraid to play a little dirty, and looks like a badass, and is also just fucking like...
But like AEW...
Gorgeous woman, and incredibly good in the ring.
But AEW this week has just been on the ball with women's matches. They all feel good. They all have some cool story going on. They're setting up a lot of interesting stuff. Like currently WWE's women's roster is like a 95. Right now, I feel like AEW is getting close to a 90.
They're catching up, and we weren't saying that a couple weeks ago. We were saying it was like the kind of weak stickling point for them.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It feels like, again, they're listening to criticism and they're trying to fix things where they can. And
like, I still think it's going to take like another good week or two to really kind of set the women's roster in stone of like, okay, here's the direction we're going. But it feels like they're on a better path than they were like 5 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. And again, with the whole wins-loss record thing, they were actually able to give this match stakes. So it didn't just feel like a token women's match, so they had a women's match on the show. The whole story of this match was these two are pretty much neck and neck in the weekly ratings, which, by the way, come out every Friday on our social media. And whoever wins this is going to go up to the number one contendership. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they're getting a match right away with Riho, but it just means that they'll be bumped up to the first person in line spot. So now Hikaru Shida is in that spot, and with how good her ring acumen is, with how well her character is getting over with the audience, because like people were really into her in this match.
She has one of the best spots in all of AEW where she pulls out a chair and you go like, oh, she's gonna cheat. She puts it down and she just uses it as a launching pad, and it's like, that's a brilliant use of a chair that I haven't seen before that just fits you so well, and I love it.
You know what it is? It's a perfect example of subverting expectations.
Exactly. Like, she is great. Britt Baker has also just improved leaps and bounds. Like, people are going like, oh, she's not the greatest. And it's like, no. I see what she's going. She's clinical.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I'm not a huge fan of Britt because I'm not a big clinical guy, but I do think she has a lot of potential. I think she can really go places. She's just getting there a little slower than Hikaru Shida, who, after this match, where she really seemed like she was getting over with the crowd to me, I think she's going places. Like, I think it would come off as kind of poor to have another Joshi be the next person to get the title, but I could totally see her being the next person to get the title, and I wouldn't be mad about it.
Yeah. I would like Riho to have the belt a little bit longer just because it really makes the belt look big and it makes Riho look really strong.
Yeah, Riho should have it at least until Bash at the Beach.
Oh, very much so. But like, I'm just glad that the women's roster is just kicking it up a notch, and like, I'm really enjoying what they're putting out.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of putting things out, though, holy crap! My biggest pop of the night was a Dark Order thing.
People are finally getting the Dark Order, and they're finally getting the Dark Order across effectively, and they haven't changed the thing about the Dark Order.
It's just they figured out how to market them. And it's so good because, like, at first I didn't exactly know what was going on because it was clear they hadn't gone to a commercial break because JR didn't say they were going to a commercial break. But they go to this segment, and you see this kind of chubby guy walking through the subway, and a couple other guys bump into him, knock his glasses off, and then they step on it and kind of make fun of him and walk away.
See, my first thought was that was Evil Uno without the mask, but I have no idea because I don't think the mask would look like that with a beard.
Yeah. And then the guy gets on the subway and he sees an ad start playing. And it's Stu Grayson all cleaned up in a suit.
With like a wig?
Yeah, and he's talking about the Dark Order. And
but it's like this self-help group kind of like, you can improve yourself and make friends.
Let's not beat around the bush. It's fucking Scientology.
Oh, very much so. It's very culty.
Yeah, it was so great because I've been a Dark Order supporter since day one. I like it, but this finally got it over to me as like, oh no, this is great. Because it went from like, oh, it's a bunch of cool, weird, spooky pervert guys to no, it's meant to be a cult. It's
a spooky pervert cult, but a cult nonetheless.
It's a stable that is still an evil stable, but it's doing something different from the Inner Circle, because the Inner Circle is a bunch of dickheads who are pulling together.
And opportunistic dickheads, yeah.
Yeah. The Dark Order is two guys who are trying to manipulate everyone, who are trying to pull everyone into their midst and make them into their pawns. So I'm totally down for seeing more of that. And we've already seen them try and do stuff like that. Like there was that whole
Marco Stunt.
Yeah, the Marco Stunt angle last week. And I wouldn't be surprised if they keep doing that. If we keep having them do matches and then offering masks to people afterwards. And here's the thing. If they do keep doing that, I want it to eventually work. I want a third man in the Dark Order. Do it at Bash the Beach. Do it at Double or Nothing. Have somebody turn heel and join the Dark Order. I don't know who. I don't have any idea as to who you could do. But I want to see that happen.
Hey. Kenny Omega.
That would be amazing, but it makes no sense with where their booking is going at the moment.
No. Here's the thing. Dark Order was going like, do you feel like a loser? And what has Kenny Omega been on? A losing streak.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I'm just saying like, oh man, that'd be interesting.
Yeah. Also, I did tweet out the hashtag. I've stopped live tweeting during Dynamite because I felt like I was starting to just say the same thing about each wrestler every week. But that I did have to like stop, open Twitter for a second and just tweet, I want to join hashtag Dark Order.
Yep. It's hilarious that they couldn't use hashtag join us because that's already part of Cultaholic, which is a wrestling YouTube channel. Oh, man. But no, this was fantastic. I'm so glad the Dark Order has finally gotten over with people. Because, again, we've been Dark Order fans day one.
Yeah.
Like, because we understood, oh, it's weird Saturday morning cartoon creepy boys. So, Dark Order.
Dark Order, man.
And now we have what was honestly a fantastic and fun little match and the beginnings of the mid-card kind of award thingamajig.
It's not clear whether or not this is going to be a floating title type thing or it's just a one-off prize that they'll do every year or 6 months. But we had the Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal, which was to determine the 2 contestants that will compete next week to win the Dynamite Dozen ring, which is a big fancy diamond
$43,000 ring.
Yeah. Which, again, we talked about this last week. I think it would be a cool, different thing if it's an actual title that people can challenge for, just because I want to see people coming to the ring and instead of doing the hand motion, I'm going to wear this belt thing, put up their fist like their Green Lantern and be like, I'm going to get a ring. But essentially this was just a big, really well-booked battle royal, which was wonderful to see because AEW has kind of struggled with battle royals up till now.
Oh, very much so. Casino battle royales have kind of been like hit or miss.
Yeah, I mean they've had good moments, but they've not. But the concept clearly just doesn't work.
It needs some working.
Cool idea, but it doesn't work.
Yeah. But in this match, we had Hangman Adam Page, Jimmy Havoc, Joey Janela, Superbad, Kip Sabian, Jungle Boy, Marco Stunt, Sunny Kiss. I'm trying to remember everybody who was in it. MJF.
Pentagon Jr.,
Chuck Taylor, Orange Cassidy. Who was the last one?
Billy fucking Gunn.
Billy goddamn Gunn.
What a perfect use of a legend.
Oh, and his pop was huge. Everyone was like, oh shit, it's Billy Gunn.
Mm-hmm. Because he hasn't been on Dynamite yet. This was his TV debut for AEW. He was at Double or Nothing. He hasn't done anything else in front of a camera for AEW since.
And it was great. He looked in great shape. Everybody was like happy to see him. He had some fun spots, but he really put over young talent, especially the spot with Sonny Kiss.
The thing about Billy Gunn is I think he has really taken all the teachings he probably got from Triple H while being in DX to heart. Because much like Triple H over the last few years, every time I see Billy Gunn, he looks like $1 million.
Oh yeah, no, he looks great. And it was also fantastic to see like another big man in AEW to kind of like show, no, here's how the small guys can like really put him down. But like there was a great moment where like
they did an Andre the Giant spot with him.
Oh, it was fantastic.
It is so good. And just him stomping around the ring, going up to various people and just being like, nope, you're done. Nope, you're done. Oh, we're going to tussle a bit. And you said it, the Sonny Kiss spot, which I laughed so hard at. And my dad was like, what the fuck is going on?
Then you have to explain, see, Billy Gunn is an ass man. And he does not care who the ass is attached to. He just appreciates a good ass.
Mm-hmm. He is known as Mr. Ass.
And Sonny Kiss, he has a good ass.
Mm-hmm.
But MJF then ruins it, and like Billy Gunn was like pissed off. Was like, "Come on, we were gonna have some fun. We were gonna have a good like tussle, and you ruined it." And then MJF ruined it again later on, and Billy Gunn was like, "That's 2 times." And then MJF pisses him off one last time. No, MJF like gave him a chop or something. And Billy Gunn just looks at him and goes, "You know what? Does the chop and goes, suck my dick."
Yeah. Also, I was surprised because we saw it earlier in the show. Somebody held up a "Suck It Vince" sign. I was surprised it did not get pulled because reportedly AEW has a strict no anti-WWE signs policy. But honestly, I'm kind of glad it didn't get pulled because they got to cut to it during Billy Gunn's entrance.
Oh man, it was great. But I just love, now we finally have what DX was always talking about when they were saying "suck it." Now we have the answer.
Also, this match produced some great jokes on Twitter. Like I saw somebody say, "Oh my god, it took DX like 17 years to break into the WCW garage." And then fucking somebody else, because there was a spot where Jimmy Havoc took out his staple gun and ended up getting ejected from the match for it. Somebody took that clip and edited it to a clip from MASH because I don't know MASH that well. I've seen like a few episodes here and there. But somebody is like talking about how like, no, this is war. We need to take it seriously. These are real weapons. And he picks up a stapler, and then somebody makes fun of him like, "Oh, please, Mr. Soldier, don't staple me to death."
Oh man, there was a lot of great little moments, just all spun throughout it. But at the end,
with Jungle Boy and Adam Page facing off in the ring, and for a second, it looked like, if you weren't paying close enough attention, it looked like, oh man, Jungle Boy and Adam Page next week. That'll be a cool match. And then MJF from out of nowhere pulls Jungle Boy out of the ring because earlier in the match, MJF had been thrown for the middle rope, not the top rope. So he was still legal. He pulled Jungle Boy out and became the official second to last contestant. So next week, MJF and Adam Page are having a singles match, which I will be very surprised if Cody is not involved with on some level.
But I would also be very surprised if MJF doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels like it's made for MJF right this point.
Mm-hmm. And also, MJF winning would further Adam Page's storyline of, I'm the least successful member of the Elite, and I feel like shit because of it.
Also, instant feud setup for Jungle Boy.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. All of it's great. So much heat. It was perfect. This was a top-notch battle royale.
It's exactly what you want from a battle royale. And it feels so good to be saying that, because for so long, battle royales have felt like just complete clusterfucks with a few good moments here and there. And I'm not just talking about AEW there. I'm also talking about the fucking battle royals that happen at WrestleMania every year. Independent battle royals are real hit and miss. The battle royal is a tough match to get right in this day and age, and that's why it was so impressive to see AEW finally pull it off here.
Yeah, I think it was the number of people. I think the number of people really helped.
Yeah, because it wasn't just like everybody who's not working tonight in the ring. It was everybody who we can do something with in the ring.
Very much so. Like, Orange Cassidy was there to do his spot and nothing else, because it was a good spot, safe spot. It took up some time, and it let everybody else rest.
Yeah, and it was super fun for me because I got to work my dad, because like I said earlier, my dad's kind of blind, so he can't always tell what's going on. So I played along with the commentary, and I said, "Oh my God, those kicks! He's killing Billy Gunn. He's killing him! Oh, thank God, somebody threw him out of the ring. That would have been a massacre." And my dad was like, "Really? Okay."
And I love how JR's finally gotten it, and he's getting into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. It's good.
JR is the anti-Jim Cornette. He's not doubling down on disliking things. He's just taking a while to warm up to them.
Yeah, and I don't mind if he stays kind of grumpy JR, because he kind of acts as the heel commentator for the group.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm okay with that somewhat.
And it's better to have a heel be disinterested in what's going on than screaming about, like, this heel is in the right. They're the best person ever. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Have you heard that Mandy Rose is God's greatest creation?
See, here's the thing. You were so close to not subtweeting him. You were so close. But then I just saw his giant poof of hair in my periphery. God damn it. But we had what is probably one of the best promo exchanges, like, in AEW. Like, it was solid. It was really good.
Yeah, because Chris Jericho came out after a brief recap of the match with him and Sammy Guevara taking on SCU for the tag titles that ended last week.
With Chris Jericho basically going on a tantrum and breaking some things. And he goes like, you know what? I had to pay a fine. And you know what? I am sincerely... And he can't say sorry, like a goddamn Disney villain.
And we finally get to hear Jake Hager speak just for him to say sorry on Jericho's behalf, which is fucking great.
And the best thing is, if you pay attention to Jake Hager, you can see he's so close to breaking. He is trying so hard to hold it in.
I would not be surprised if in the next Botchamania there's a Jake Hager corpsing send for the man joke.
Like, you can see he is straining so hard. It's like, nope, I am not going to smile. Mm-hmm. I am not going to smile.
And if you watch the backstage segment, which was pictured during commercial break.
Here's the thing. I watched the Fight TV stream, and you could hear it. It was fantastic.
I watched it on YouTube just before you showed up to record tonight. Really, really fun seeing Jericho and Jake Hager walking through just making fun of various people. And also, if you pay attention to Hager, he does corpse a couple times.
Oh, yeah. Like, the best thing was he sees Marco Stunt and goes like, whose kid is this? Who are you? How old are you? I'm 23. What? You're 23?
Let me see some ID.
It was just so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, he comes out, he gives his apology, and then makes his announcement that next week he's finally getting his official AEW Thanksgiving celebration.
He basically bills it like it's going to be a second festival of friendship. Where he's like, we're going to have fun, games, prizes, there's going to be this, that, and the other thing. It's going to be amazing. And then SCU comes out.
And they basically go like, you know what? You're a big man, Chris Jericho. You did what you apologized when you shouldn't have had to. And like basically buttered him up, and then they started leaning into it. It's like, but yeah, last week we did win. And you know what, Chris Jericho? My life has been great since then. I mean, My DMs have been blowing up. My old high school crush called me up and said, like, hey, you want to go on a date? We're going on one next week. And then Chris Jericho.
To which Jericho said, I've seen that girl. She's put on a lot of weight since high school. And Scorpio Sky with the comeback of the year.
I like big butts. I cannot lie. And it immediately, like, it makes this fictional girl that was just introduced, it immediately puts her back up and makes her like, damn, nice, sweet. Yeah. Scorpio Sky ain't an asshole. And also, it just really rubs it in Jericho's face that, oh, you thought you were smart? Nope.
And it plays into the character dynamics because Jericho's an older dude. He probably doesn't his character, at least, probably doesn't understand the whole butt craze that's going on with younger people.
Yep. And then they just, again, Scorpio Sky just goes like, yeah, I didn't mean to embarrass you with that loss. And then Jericho just goes like, say what?
You didn't embarrass me. Chris Jericho doesn't get embarrassed. I wasn't embarrassed.
And like, he just gets riled up and goes like, you know what? You didn't embarrass me because I'll fight you again. And it's like, Scorpio goes like, no, you don't have to. No. It's okay. I don't want this to happen again. I don't want to accidentally win and embarrass you some more. And Chris Jericho just gets more and more incensed, and it's like, you son of a bitch. And he's getting more and more angry. And I can't remember how it happened, but Chris Jericho basically goes, you know what? To show how unembarrassed I am, I'm going to give you a title shot opportunity. And SCU's going
because, no. He says, we're going to have a match next week. And then Frankie Kazarian grabs the match and goes like, whoa. You better be careful. You better be sure that that's not for the title, because you know how crazy Erico A can get over the title skate.
Right. And basically saying Jericho's a little crazed and obsessed about the title.
He's basically calling him Gollum, or Larfleeze if you're a DC Comics fan. And Jericho grabs the mic and says, no, now it's a title shot. And he grabs Scorpio Sky's arm, grabs his hand, and he like smiles towards the hard cam. It's official. We just shook hands.
Like, no, and the best part was like Scorpio Sky and all the SAU were going like, no. I don't deserve this.
We need a couple weeks to prepare, man.
No. You're getting it next week. And then shake the hand, and Jericho is about to walk off, and the Scorpio Sky squeezes it, pulls him tight, and goes like, you know what? I'm gonna make you my bitch. Just immediately you go like, yep.
You may not think I can win, but I think I can win.
Because again, when Jericho won, he went around backstage and just went, Scorpio Sky, you think you're ever gonna get a title shot? Think again. Oh boy. Long-term booking. Who knew it'd be such a good thing?
Such perfect setup. Again, I keep saying this. I believe it so hard. Scorpio Sky, he's the breakout star of SCU. He's going to have an amazing singles career.
I don't think he's going to win. Definitely don't think he's going to win. But it's going to be a fun, great match, and it's going to make Scorpio Sky look like $1 million because Chris Jericho can make anybody look like a goddamn $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
But that's next week. This week, we get Kenny Omega saying like, yo, next week, I'm going to go up against Pac. Because Pac is the reason that I started falling down. And I'm going to beat him to prove that I'm not crazy and that I can win.
Yeah. And it's interesting because Kenny's talking about like, oh, I've lost. Everybody says I'm losing my marbles. I am crazy. I did a hardcore match. I got myself beat the hell up. It's so unusual for Kenny Omega. Ooh, I'm crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm just having issues. And my issues, they started with Pac. Pac made me lose at Double or Nothing, and it's all been downhill since there. So you know that's really the source of it. I'm gonna take on Pac. I'm gonna get revenge. I'm gonna get back on my stride. And it's totally not about Moxley. It's not Moxley's fault from back at Double or Nothing. It's Pac's fault. And the whole time he also says like it's unusual for him to do promos, which I didn't know because I haven't been following Kenny for long enough, I guess.
Actually, no, it's not. It's like more unusual that he hasn't talked a lot because he talked a fair amount from what I've seen in New Japan.
But the whole time that the promo opens with him lifting weights and Michael Nakazawa is spotting him, as he's cutting the promo, the camera slowly zooms out to reveal he's using like 5-pound weights on this. I believe it's called a dumb. Is it a dumbbell or a barbell?
Barbell, I think.
Okay, and he's like, okay, let's do another set at the end of the promo. And Nakazawa's like, do you want more? And he's like, yeah, put on another one, but just on the one side. And he's like having trouble lifting it up on the one side, and it's part funny and it's part perfectly showcasing that Kenny is really starting to lose touch with reality because of how much things are getting to him.
Yeah. Yep. And it was a great shot thing. It was very good. I can't wait to see Kenny versus Pac.
Mm-hmm.
But then we had the main event, our main event, our
insert city name here
event.
Thank you, Justin Roberts. I wasn't aware it was the last match of the night, even though there's only 15 minutes left on the show.
I love how he says it twice. I don't know why he says it twice.
It's just it's getting the crowd hyped up. It's the classic insert name of city here at a concert to get a pop.
No, but he says it like, this is the last match. Zang City. This is like, I don't understand the first part. I can understand like the hyping. Yeah. But we had Moxley versus Darby Allin, and oh boy, the Darby had like an amazing little package before he came out.
Mm-hmm. Because we got a neat little video of Darby skating around what I don't think it was, but it looked like it was New York City. And he goes into a sort of like back alley club and enters in through the stage. And it shows him going to like an indie rock show.
Like a punk show, like a straight up punk.
And the whole time you see, as he's skating around, he's dragging an empty body bag with the word Mox written on it. At the show, he climbs into the body bag, seals it up, and the band throws him into the crowd, and he crowd surfs while inside a body bag. And then guys walk out carrying him in the body bag as if he's crowd surfed from the rock show all the way to AEW, which was a great visual.
And then he unzips the body bag, lifts up, skateboard in hand, skateboards down the ramp. Mm-hmm. Oh man, Darby Allin went from like a 10 in his character when he first started, and now he's like 15.
Yeah, like that's the kind of, I would expect that to be like a WrestleMania equivalent entrance for him, and they're just doing it on an episode of Dynamite, which is great. And like another thing, I saw somebody post on Squared Circle, an interesting thing to note from Moxley's interview with Jericho back when, is he talked about one of his favorite things about the performers he really likes is how they always are trying to do little different things. They're tweaking their performance here and there. And if you notice, in WWE, everybody's entrance is pretty much the same every time. They have their cues and they hit them almost exactly every time they do their entrance. Since Moxley has started in AEW, he has done something slightly different with every entrance. It's always the same idea of him rowdily coming in from out of nowhere, not where you'd expect, but he does it differently every time.
Oh yeah, and it definitely feels like, I don't want to say it's a throwback to Shield, but it definitely feels like the Shield is still somewhere in his heart.
It's taking the Shield idea and doing it in a more fun, loose way, because the Shield, they entered through the crowd, but they always entered through the crowd the same way. You pan up, they're at one of the upper doors on the side, and they're all in the same order, and they slowly walk down. Here, it's like he can come from this area, he can come from that area. He may, like, run through the crowd, he may spin around, he may yell at some people. Tonight, he threw a water bottle at somebody. It's fun.
Yeah, but it is always his. And, like, here's the thing. Everybody's kind of tweaking their entrances a little bit. Everybody's, like, working themselves out, and it's never, like, set in stone. It's really interesting.
AEW is not a production factory. It is a house of artistic experimentation.
Very much so.
But some of that artistic experimentation is really paying off, because We were talking about Darby Allin earlier and how cool his entrance is. If you paid attention during this match and really during the whole show, Darby Allin is really connecting with the fans because there were tons of people in the audience with face paint. Like
there was a woman right in the front row. There was a kid with Darby Allin face paint.
Yeah, they cut to the kid during his entrance. The woman was right there, so you saw her for pretty much the whole show. I was expecting him right up until I saw him being carried in the body bag. I was like, oh, he's got to do something with her during the entrance. He's got to like go up and take a selfie or like ask to kiss her on the cheek or something. But she didn't get that, unfortunately. But still really cool to see that. And it shows that like Darby Allin is getting over in an organic way that you don't really see from a lot of stars his age. Like it's impressive how well he's doing it just by being himself.
And this is just impressive of how people are getting themselves over. And when people are getting themselves over, AEW just goes like, all right, cool. You do your thing. We're going to help you out when you need it. Like Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, things like that.
Mm-hmm. And
Orange Cassidy, like people like that, they go like, all right, cool. You're getting over. We don't need to work on you. So let's work on these guys who aren't getting over as well and try and figure out what we can do to help them.
Yeah, and to go back to what I guess is just our standby at this point, WCW comparisons, I can totally see if he continues to get over the way he has been and they keep playing their cards right, Darby Allin could turn into their Sting.
Oh, dude. He's already kind of there because he's very much like that face paint. He has the brooding demeanor, but he's also like going like, nope, fuck you. I'll do my own thing. Like and this match was just so fucking good. Like hard hitting and brutal, but not like blood and guts brutal, but it was like legit hard hitting move.
It was a perfect example of how to do a match where you put over the guy who needs to go over more, but you still make both guys look like $1 million.
Because there were some brilliant little spots, like I'm trying to remember one specifically. There was like
Darby Allin tried to break Moxley's hand on a turnbuckle.
Oh, he was still. I hope he was just selling it at the end, because there was one thing like after the match ended, it says like something's up with my hand. Can you get a paramedic? Yeah. And then he started celebrating. I hope it's nothing serious. I hope it was just selling, but I haven't seen anything about it.
So, assumingly he's fine, and they're both fine, but it was still just a really good, hard-hitting match. Showed off that Darby Allin isn't just mindless. I enjoy pain, so I'm gonna do as much crazy shit as possible. It shows he has a psychology to him, because as soon as he hurt Moxley's hand, he started targeting his hand, and he knew Moxley is a big, strong guy. He's gonna try and get the jump on me. So I'm gonna get the jump on him first. And as Moxley's making his entrance, Darby just fucking suicide dives out of the ring on the Moxley, throws him back into the crowd, and they start brawling for like a full minute and a half before they can get into the ring and actually have the match start.
Oh yeah, and like I would love it if Jon Moxley just became like the biggest pit bull in the yard that every other person tries to go up against to prove how strong they are.
Yeah, not in a similar gimmick sense, but just in like an idea of the character. He could be their Undertaker.
Yeah, but like, oh, I remember the move I really liked. It was Darby Allin doing the coffin drop, then Jon Moxley opened his legs and then put him in a sleeper.
That was solid.
It was so clean. It was so clean. It was just like really good, solid wrestling, and Jon Moxley won. Darby Allin lost. You know what? It's fine.
Yeah, made the right choice because both guys are super hot with the audience, but obviously Moxley's a guy that we're going to continue building, and we want to eventually end up in the title scene.
So we need to bolster his wins a little bit. So I can't wait for next week because we're getting Scorpio Sky versus Chris Jericho.
Cody's going to be back in action. We're going to have Hangman versus MJF. All kinds of hashtag good shit going on in AEW.
I haven't heard what next week's Dark is going to be yet, though.
I don't really look into what the Dark matches are going to be. I like to find out as I'm watching it.
That's fair. I like to just know, like, oh shit, I'm gonna get to see a person who hasn't really been on Dynamite recently. But also, real quick, we need to talk about another promo package that didn't really air during Dynamite, but was released shortly after, of a beautiful documentary called Jurassic Planet.
Oh yeah, fucking really, really solid bit of filmmaking, looking into the lives of three of our favorite AEW wrestlers, just showing what these guys are really all about, and
Them in their natural habitat.
Yeah, just getting into what makes these guys tick, what makes them the unit that they are, and it's a beautiful, touching little piece. And, I really think it has a shot at winning some awards, because award season is right around the corner. And
very much so. This is a beautiful nature documentary.
It's the kind of documentary that the committees really tend to go for. So here's hoping, man. Fingers
beautiful nature, family, that whole kind of thing. If you haven't been able to tell, we're kind of joking. Basically, it was just kind of like done as a nature documentary. You see Jungle Boy doing some shit, and they showed off his ass so well. They know the crowd.
And fucking him playing around in the river, trying to fish and whatnot, and washing it. I can just picture Brandon Cutler behind the camera just going like, yeah, that's good. Rub some on your armpit. That'll be hilarious.
And then then we see Luchasaurus, and they have a brilliant line, because I think he's vegan in real life. Of going, he has the teeth of a carnivore, but he's really just an angry herbivore. And like they have a little back and forth, and then they hear a noise, and they go look for it, and then it's Marco Stunt, and it's just like, come on, guy, what the fuck are you doing? And then a beautiful moment, Jungle Boy's on his shoulders, Luchasaurus is holding Marco Stunt's hand, and Marco Stunt does like the toddler thing. He sees something in the distance and goes like, oh shit, I want that, and he chases after it, and Luchasaurus' arm just goes like, nope. Like a single dad. It's perfect.
Such good work. It's fucking Jurassic Express, man. It's one really cool dad and his two kind of rambunctious sons.
Very much so. But the older son tries to help out every once in a while.
Yeah.
It's so good. I just love it. Like, man, I can't wait for more Jurassic Express shit.
Yeah.
But that was pretty much it for AEW this week, and pretty much it for wrestling in general. How was your wrestle week?
It was tumultuous at times, but there were some real bright spots.
That's good. That's really good. I enjoyed the wrestling this week, because I purposely avoided the shit I didn't want to watch. So, Vac, tell them where they can find your bullshit.
You can find my bullshit at youtube.com/thevacuuminator. I am the Vacuuminator, a guy who likes toys, but not necessarily the classic retro toys everybody knows. The classic retro toys that I know, that came slightly later, that they're different, but they're still really cool. You should give them the time of day, because I like them. I grew up with them, and I'm going to give them the time of day. Go check out my channel, where I'll be giving them the time of day. That is assuming that YouTube doesn't fucking try to kill me. And also, I have a Twitter, at the Vacuuminator, got an Instagram. It's that same at, and I think that's it.
Alrighty, hi, I'm Boingo Ryder. You can find my shit on YouTube. I talk about shit. And that's pretty much it. Make video editorials, kind of vaporwavy, kind of cyberpunky. And I'm figuring out my new setup, mainly because I can't really edit that well, because my computer is old. I try. You can follow me on Twitter at Boingo_Ryder. Same thing on Instagram. And if you want, you can join my Discord server. A link to that is in the description below.
Hooray!
But that was wrestling this week. Any final words you would like to give?
Okay, Boomer.
Okay, Boomer, indeed.